Hello, scientists! I'm so glad to have you back. We're going to talk a little bit today about classifying life. I'm aware that this is a review for some of us. We had a day of talking about this, but it was right before the shutdown, so I wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page about it. So, before we start, I want to ask everybody, where do you live? Go ahead, shout it out. Where do you live? Yes, good. Somebody say San Francisco. Somebody said Main Street. I heard Half Moon Bay. Keep shouting. 123 Jones Street, California, the Earth, the solar system, Nevada. Somebody commutes down here from Nevada. 1844 Midvale, the cupboard under the stairs. Well done. All right, let's start organizing these into their levels of organization. I'm going to start by putting all the cities together, now all the states together, all the street addresses together. Then here's a solar system, here's a planet, and then I've got cupboard under the stairs, which is smaller than a house. You can think of each one of these as a level of organization. The solar system is a planetary system. There are a lot of planetary systems, but this is one of them. In our solar system, there are 8 planets, one of which is the Earth. The Earth has a number of countries in it. We haven't actually given the country as one of the places we live, so we'll have to fill that in later. But within country, we know there are states, and 2 of those were suggested, California or Nevada. Obviously, there are 50. Then we got some of the cities that come within California. There are obviously many more hundreds of these, and even some streets within those cities, and some numbers on the streets, so full street addresses, and then finally one location within a house, the cupboard under the stairs. Who lives there now? Forget it. Now, we left out one of our levels of organization, country, so let's stick in USA right here and make sure it gets in our country level. Sometimes when we're talking about classifications, we're so used to the lower level terms like California that we leave out the upper level terms like the United States. We know California is in the United States. We don't have to remind ourselves of that. The same thing happens when you're classifying life. Let's review this model. Within each galaxy are a number of solar systems. We call ours the solar system, but there are lots. Within each solar system, there are a number of planets, a sun and 1 or more planets. Ours has 8, but many of them have more or less. There are, on each planet that's inhabited, we're going to assume there are a number of countries. And within each country, there are a bunch of states or provinces. Within each state or province, there are a bunch of cities. And within each city, there are a number of streets. So now, instead of a galaxy that contains a solar system, that contains planets, that contain countries and cities and streets, we're going to talk about life. And the very top level is called domain. As you can see in this illustration, it's right underneath life. Kingdom is underneath that, and I just named some kingdoms. The animal kingdom is one of the kingdoms. Kingdom is a group that includes all of the animals, for example. The plant kingdom is another kingdom. Beneath the kingdom, there's another organizational level called phylum. We could think of this as the planet in our galaxy analogy. Beneath phylum, there's a class. We could think of that as a country in our earlier analogy. Below the class is the order, then the family, and finally genus and species, which you could think about as the street you live on and the number on that street. All right, let's look at all of our groupings of life. Here they are: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Will you please say them with me now? Please use a funny voice. Go. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Nice job. I like your funny voice. That was pretty hilarious. Let's look at where humans would be classified using this system. We are in the animal kingdom, so we're going to be under the kingdom Animalia. The phylum we're in is Chordata, the chordates, or the members of the phylum Chordata are those that have a nerve bundle that runs from the brain area to the extremities, to the limbs. That's a very generic definition. You might have also heard the term vertebrate, which refers to the backbone that we have surrounding our spinal column. Not every chordate has vertebrae, so chordate is a little bit larger group, but we are in the vertebrate or chordate group. Within that, we are in the class Mammalia, which includes all the animals that have live birth and give their babies milk and have fur or hair on the outside. That is what distinguishes Mammalia from the others. The order we're in is Primates, or most people just use the English word primates. We are primates, which means we're in the order that includes monkeys and apes. The family we're in is the Hominidae. We are hominids. Families almost always end in id, or in the noun idae, just like that. The family we're in includes the animals that look a little bit like humans. They are the humans, current modern humans, and gorillas as well. And the genus we are in is Homo. Homo just means self. So Linnaeus, when he invented this system, decided to use as the genus, the grouping for humans, the self grouping. He's describing us. And then species is Homo sapiens, and I didn't put up there by itself just sapiens on purpose. In science, when we're naming species of animals, we never just use the species or specific name by itself. You always include the genus, and it always looks like this. The genus and species are italicized. You see I'm in italic print. The genus is always capitalized, and the species is always lowercase. So from here on out, if I see your binomial name, the species of an organism on something you write, where it doesn't follow this form, italicized, with a capital genus and a lowercase species, I will mark it wrong. If you are writing a genus and species by hand instead of typing it, instead of italics, you can use an underline. I'm going to throw up the domain up at the top there. Above the Animalia kingdom, you can think of another level of organization even above that, which is the eukaryote. So the eukaryota, the organisms that have a true nucleus in their cells. This includes all the animals, all the plants, all the fungus. You might ask, well, what isn't a eukaryote? The prokaryotes don't have cell nucleuses, and they include creatures like bacteria and a related group called the archaea. So the eukaryota is what we almost always think of first when we think of life, but the domain is up there. The eukaryota is a division of life as well, above the Animalia group. All right, how are we going to remember all this? Because remember, our learning target for this week is just to remember all of these. Fortunately, there are sentences. This is the classic one. King Philip came over from Great Spain. This means a lot when you're studying a lot of European history. We don't study as much European history as they once did, so I actually prefer this particular sentence. Kangaroos play cellos, orangutans fiddle, gorillas sing. You don't have to use this one though. I have posted to your Google Classroom a list of 25 or so different mnemonic sentences that you can use to remember this set of organizational levels. You can use any one you want. You can also make up your own. This was your assignment the same week that we weren't able to finish school, so you may have already done this. I would like you to make sure you have it memorized by Friday. I think we might have you have something to do with that on Friday. So make sure you have one of these sentences memorized. I'll point out that some of the sentences that I put on my list include the first word D for domain, and some don't. Whether or not you put domain in there, I don't mind. It doesn't matter either way to me. But if you want to remember that we are underneath the domain eukaryota, you're welcome to do that. All right, thanks very much. What I hope you will do now is go get yourself a sentence, decide which one you want to memorize it, and use it to remember these levels of organization of life. Thanks very much. I'll see you soon.